So I've always had a bit of a love-hate relationship with the Boss SY-200. And if you're seeing this video, that probably means you've heard some sounds from the Boss SY-200 or maybe the smaller Boss pedal. And if we're being honest with ourselves, these sounds can be pretty goofy. Like, they're not the ideal synth sound right out of the box that would inspire me in my writing, even though I love to use synth tones in my writing. So essentially in this video, I'm going to show you how to push past that and get usable sounds out of the Boss SY-200. All right, so the signal chain is my None Jazzmaster going into the pedal board, going right out to the Strymon Iridium and into my Scarlett interface. So essentially, here's the tone that's going into the Boss SY-200. I find my normal overdriven tone sounds just fine going into the Boss SY-200, which is great. But here's a general tone with no other effects from the Boss SY-200. So one of the things right off the bat that I love about the Boss SY-200 is that the tracking is nearly perfect. And that's important to me because when I'm using the pedal, it allows me to get right into that creative mindset, and it doesn't have anything that pulls me out of that creative mindset. Like if it doesn't track well, I've had other pedals that do the guitar synth thing that don't track well, and it pulls you right out of the creative mindset that you're in. So hearing this kind of interesting guitar synth sound, here's how I get usable sounds out of the Boss SY-200. So the things that you'll need are a low pass filter, and other than that, I use fuzz, delay, and reverb. And that's my main advice to you using the Boss SY-200 is that don't think about it as a single pedal that will kind of produce the tones that you want. It's the starting of your synth chain, but you're going to need other effects to work with it if you want to get that synth tone. So I would recommend the Shallow Water by Fairfield. I have the low pass gate pretty low, and then I'll go into a delay and a reverb. So this is what it sounds like without the Boss SY-200. So this is the first synth sound that I use quite often, and it's more of a pad sound. So here's with the Boss SY-200. And here's another preset that I think we're going to stick with for a little bit because I really enjoy it. It's the Synth Lead 1. And just by the way, all of the presets on the Boss SY-200 are polyphonic, so even if it's a lead synth patch, it's always polyphonic, never monophonic with the Boss SY-200. So that's pretty cool. Here's this sound with the exact same effects on. So I like this patch because it, if you pick a little bit harder, it's got a bit of filter on it. But if you pick softly, it just sounds like a beautiful kind of patch. So I've used this writing before, and I really like this tone. And another way to think about the Boss SY-200 is just a really unique multi-effects pedal. And because every modulation kind of effect that it has in it is more unique, a more unique take, a little bit more off to the side than what you get out of a typical multi-effects pedal. So even if you don't want to think about it as like a synth pedal, this is something that you can still be really experimental with, even if you're kind of more using it for guitar tones, which is how it's intended to be used with guitar. So here's again just what that patch sounds like without any other effects on. So interesting, but if I just put a smaller reverb on and the shallow water and kind of do a similar vibe, I just like it a lot more. And that sustain, it just sounds really good. And so secondly, the sound that I really enjoy leaving the shallow water on is, I'll just use it as an example from the Chroma console, but basically the sound is fuzz into reverb. So here's what this patch sounds like right now. And here's fuzz into reverb. And you can set the control switch up to be an octave up, so you can kind of use it for like whammy stuff as well. Just going back to that other preset that I was working with. So I like using it with fuzz and reverb, and even just surfing around the presets with fuzz and reverb on, kind of seeing what presets I like the most. So that one's dark bass. Let's get out of here with some brassy lead. So really, again, it is a synth sound that it's emulating, but if you add enough distortion, and just get a swampy sound going on, it kind of distracts that there's even a synth sound under there, and it just turns into a wild fuzz kind of sound. And here's what that sounds like without the Boss SY-200. So just nice and fuzzy, more classic, and then here's just kind of a off to the side fuzz sound. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know if this makes the Boss SY-200 more approachable for you, or maybe it's still not the sound you're going for. But all I'm trying to say is if you've got a specific tone in your head, this probably has a good starting point to get that tone, but you're going to need to finish it off with some other effects, just as you would with a normal synth that you're using other effects to go after it anyways. So I wish the Boss SY-200 had a more polished all-around sound that I'm going for in it, but using it with other pedals gets me to that place, and these are sounds that I use in my own composition. So thanks so much again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.